So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Here, go back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Monday, February 7th here today. Hopefully everybody's having a day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Monday, February 7th here today, coming off another big weekend in the world of sports. We had some really good basketball. We had some Senior Bowl. We had the Pro Bowl, which I got to admit was pretty lame. It's gotten, I feel like, worse and worse over the years where players just don't try. It's kind of just have fun, go out there. I think it would be better if there was something on the line. Either AFC team, every year do it where the winner of the Pro Bowl, I don't know, do something like, I don't know, something where it's meaningful. Because baseball used to do that. It used to be meaningful. It was the winner of the All-Star game would be that's who had home field advantage in the World Series. And that's pretty meaningful if you ask me. So if the American League won, no matter what the American League's team record was, they had home field advantage. Now it's a little bit different. I don't know if they either take the combined record from the entire league or if they just go from each team. So I feel like the Pro Bowl in a way could definitely be better. It was pretty lame. I mean, I only watched the first couple minutes because then I sat there and watched the Nets lose their 8th straight game, which I could get to that so much more. But today's going to be another short podcast. Like I said, Mondays, Wednesdays are short. Tomorrow we got a big day. I want to get to some basketball stuff, and I want to also get to some more football stuff. It's football. It's football week. It's the Super Bowl, final week of the year. We're getting of the year in football. Well, I shouldn't say year because the season will start up in 2022. But what I should say is we're getting ready. Season's closing out. This will be our final week of a football game. Final game on Sunday. I've always said this. Like, this week was weird without having football on Sunday. It usually is like 2-3 weeks. Like the first week after the Super Bowl, it is so weird when there's no football on the weekend. Like even this weekend, you still had the Pro Bowl and the Senior Bowl, so that was still okay. But it was like even this weekend was even this weekend it was weird not watching a meaningful game. I mean, the Senior Bowl is meaningful for the guys, and Jets, obviously, their team won the national team. Saw some good progress. I might get to it. I know I talked a lot about it on Friday, and I know a ton of other people are doing coverage today, and I really wanted to center this week on the Super Bowl. So maybe as we get into the offseason, I'll get to more about what went on in the Senior Bowl and guys that Jets can target, because believe me, after the Super Bowl ends and we get into later February and into March, we're going to be talking a ton of Jets. We're going to be talking a ton of Giants. We're going to be talking a ton of draft. So I figure this week, Super Bowl week, let's focus on Super Bowl. Kind of recap what went on in the weekend. Like I said, it's going to be even quicker, maybe about only like a 20-25 minute video today. Like I said, due to timing, only about probably a 20-25 minute video today, not even 30 or 35 minutes, probably even quicker today. So just to give you a quick rundown what went on in the weekend, as we all know, we had Kentucky get a win against Alabama. The Road Warriors continue. That's kind of what Kentucky is this season. We're a road team. We go in, hostile environments, people believing that we might get upset. And Kentucky continues to roll, and they get the win, and we're 5th-ranked team in the nation as we stay put at number 5 in the nation. Nets lose their 8th straight. No shock there. I mean, you had a really good first half. You score 75 points. I mean, you let up 76, and then you go into half. I mean, I believe, 29 points total in the second half? I mean, that can't happen. You score 75 points in the second half. To then come out in the you scored 75 points in the first half. Come out in the second half and score 29, that's unacceptable. I don't care what team you are, that is unacceptable. So Nets need to be better. We fall to 29-24 on the season. And if the season were to end today, the Nets would have to be in a play-in game. So we would have to win in order to get in. If we lose that play-in game, our season would be over. So Nets got to get back on track because, like I said, we continue to fall. It could get real, real ugly. So 8th straight loss tomorrow night against the Celtics, and who knows who's playing that game because KD's still out. Kyrie can't play home games, and Harden's just, who knows what's going on with him. So that's going on. Knicks lost a tough one against the Lakers on Saturday night. They'll be back in action tomorrow against the Jazz, or tonight, I believe, against the Jazz. So a lot to get to. Islanders, Rangers still on their All-Star breaks. All-Star festivities were all right. I was a little underwhelmed with the broadcasting. ESPN's got to get better broadcasters. They're not good at all in hockey. ESPN's got some really good basketball broadcasters and all that stuff. But hockey broadcasters definitely got to do a better job. I felt like there wasn't as much energy this year in the All-Star game than there was in recent seasons. I watched it, and I enjoyed it. I was a little underwhelmed by when they were hitting the balls in the water at the fountains. I thought the energy would be there. I thought it'd be a little bit more exciting. Kind of was just very calm feel to it, which is no issue, but I was hoping for a little bit better. But still, All-Star festivities. Metropolitan won. Chris Kreider had a nice goal. He had a really nice play in the shootout challenge or save challenge against, I believe it was Vasilevsky. So really nice goal. Went 5-hole. Kind of faked him out. It looked like he was going to go across and go backhand and faked him and went under the 5-hole. And it was a really nice move, and that made its way on SportsCenter Top 10. So, anyway, a lot to get to today in the podcast. Nets day off. They'll be back in action tomorrow, and the Knicks are back in action tonight as they continue their West Coast swing tonight, visiting the Utah Jazz. Alrighty, so let's get to the topic for today. Like I said, short video today. We're going to get to the Bengals offensive overview. So I just want to get to this. I know on last week on Friday I said Wednesday was going to be the Bengals-Rams offensive preview. Thursday was going to be Bengals-Rams defensive preview. And then Friday was going to be my game pick and keys to the game. I figured, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I figured I'm going to make a whole week out of it because kind of timing, Wednesday is going to be a short video. So I wouldn't be able to do both Rams and Bengals in 20 minutes. I want to take my time. I want to really go deep into both these teams. So I figured Bengals today, offense today. Rams will be tomorrow. So Bengals offensive overviews today. Rams offensive overview will be tomorrow. Wednesday will be the Bengals defensive overview. Thursday will be the Rams defensive overview. And then Friday will be my game pick, my keys to the game. I'll take all the numbers. I'll give you my pick. And we'll see what happens come Sunday. So that's what I'm going to do. Today we're going to start off with the Bengals. Like I say, I did it last year. I usually just tend to start off with the AFC team. I'm a Jet fan. We're in the AFC. I tend to just start off with the AFC anyway. So we'll get to the Bengals today to start us off, start Super Bowl week off, which should be a lot of fun, exciting. And then we'll get to the New York sports update. Like I said, Nets off today. Islanders, Rangers still on the All-Star break. And the Knicks are in Utah against the Jazz. Alrighty, so with all that being said, quick video today, aiming for about 20 to 25 minutes. With all that being said, this is BSN Podcast, and let's get right into it. Alright, so it is, in fact, Super Bowl 56 week. This week's always fun because you have all the experts out there try to crunch all the numbers and try to really break everything down and get it down to a science of who's going to win. And most of those times, those experts, those people, sometimes they're right, but not all the times they are. And this week, I'm not crunching the numbers. I'm not going crazy. I'm going to give you the offensive numbers. I'm going to give you some of the stats, give you some players to look out for, and I'm going to go over the overview. I did this last year. Last year, I was pretty happy with the way it turned out. I thought, though the stats that I looked at last year between the Chiefs and the Bucks, I thought were pretty good. So I'm looking at the same stats this year. I'm not extending and I'm not taking away. I'm looking at the regular season team in total offense, passing offense, rushing offense, receiving offense, then yards per game, receiving yards per game, rushing yards per game, passing yards per game, points per game. And then for both that, and postseason, regular season, I'm looking at then regular season team leaders with passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards. And then I'm also looking at the postseason team leaders. So regular season totals, postseason totals, and then regular season team leaders, postseason team leaders. So, we know how the Bengals offense has been this year. It's been very reliant on Joe Burrow passing the ball, getting it to guys like Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, C.J. Uzomah, guys like that. And then they're a very good, they're a three-headed monster. They have three really good receivers, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. As we all know, Chase is on his way to winning the Rookie of the Year, and, probably, not going to probably win it, but is in the conversation for Offensive Player of the Year, or at least somewhere around it. I believe he broke, Justin Jefferson. He's been great. And, Burrow and him in LSU and in college together, they've meshed great. And I can make the argument without Jamar Chase and without Joe Burrow playing the way he did. I mean, that might sound obvious, but they wouldn't be here today. And, even last week, even in some of these games where Burrow's been pressured and they haven't really been able to throw the ball deep much, Chase has been there underneath, getting plays, getting the tough, gritty yards that the Bengals needed him to do. And you have other guys, too, like T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. And this is where, as just like a fan of football, like, you can't stress this enough, how important it is to have 3 really good receivers. And they have that. And then they also, on top of that, they also have a very good tight end. And on top of that, not so much of a good offensive line, but a really good running back. And when he breaks free, Joe Mixon's one of the better ones out there. It's kind of tough because he's been behind an offensive line this season, and he's been a little banged up with some injuries throughout his career. But when he's out there and when the offensive line's blocking for him, he's very explosive and a very good running back. And we saw it, we've seen it many times. And even in that Titans game, right? Still finding ways to get the ball to Jamar Chase. Still finding ways to get Mixon involved. Burrow still making the smart throws. Still making the smart plays. That's what this offense is relying on. It's just consistency. One guy's not open, look at the other guy. Chase isn't open, boom, you got 2 other really guys. All 3 receivers are covered, well, you got Uzomah. And if everyone's covered, well, that's not a good situation. So, really, what the Bengals have done, you got to give credit to the front office, because what they've done with this offense is they put Burrow in place, and they built around him with all these pieces to the point where you can say when they're healthy, this is one of the better cores out there. T. Higgins, young, bright future. Jamar Chase, young, bright future. T. Higgins, second year in the league. Jamar Chase, rookie. Mixon still early on. Tyler Boyd's not crazy into it. Burrow's a second-year player. The youth on this team, and that's why I think makes them so explosive, because they're young, they're quick, they're still young in their career, they're still quick, they're not tired, right? It's not like these are the 12, 13-year veterans that have been in the league, and it's getting to the point where they're looking towards the sunset. No, these are guys that just started their career, they're high energy, they go in, they play hard, they make that extra play, they do everything they can to get that extra yard. They're not looking at retirement now. What they're looking at is, hoping to get 19, 20 more years, within their career. They're only in year 1 or 2, and that's what makes this offense so fun to watch. So it's been really explosive, and the Rams are going to have their handful to stop this. You have Jalen Ramsey that's going to be on Chase, but you saw the Chiefs last week, and they really didn't have many answers. Titans late in that game didn't have many answers. The Raiders really, they had some breakdowns. Teams throughout the season, it's very tough to stop a team that has 3 really good receivers like Higgins, Chase, and Boyd. And when you add a tight end on top of that, that's, depending on what happens with the World Series, Super Bowl rather, very well could be a free agent. I'd imagine if they win, he's coming back. I guess you could look at it either way. I think Uzomah is going to be really tough to pry away from Cincinnati, especially if they win it all and he wants to come back and just continue being a winning team. But definitely really, really good. And even the game against the Titans, right? It was ugly. It wasn't pretty, and their offense maybe hasn't been as electric in the playoffs as it was in the regular season, but they're still finding ways. And Chase has kind of developed in that tough, gritty receiving role, and that's what you need is guys to turn into those type of players. So Bengals have all those guys. You look at an offense and you're like, what's the perfect offense? You say, at least 2 really good receivers. Well, Bengals have that. Some youth. Bengals have that. Bengals have a lot of youth. A really solid quarterback. Well, Bengals have a quarterback that might win an MVP in his career, and there's a good chance. An offensive line, Bengals are terrible, and there's no doubt, and they're going to have to win, lose, whatever happens in the Super Bowl. Whether they win by 40, lose by 40, or they win. If they win or lose, no matter what happens in the Super Bowl, offensive line is the main concern. And we saw that against Tennessee. And that cannot be covered up. And I know it's kind of been covered up a little this season, but Joe Burrow is, I believe, the second most sacked quarterback in the NFL. So, and if he gets sacked 9 times in the Super Bowl, it's going to be even more of an issue. Going. So that's my only concern with the Bengals offense. But when Burrow has time and he has weapons like this, really good. All right, so let me give you some of the numbers here. Some of the team numbers. So I'm going to start, like I said, I have regular season numbers, postseason numbers, and regular season team leaders, postseason team leaders. I did this all today. Probably took me about 20-25 minutes, so I'll try to read it a little quicker than what it took me to do this. So anyway, here we go. All right, so Bengals offensive rankings. Regular season team overall. Total, they are 13th. Passing, they are 7th. Total, they are 13th in the league. Passing, they are 7th in the league. Rushing, they are 23rd. And receiving, they are 7th in the NFL. So those are your regular season totals. Total 13th, passing 7th, rushing 23rd, receiving 7th. So it's kind of weird because you look at the numbers, it's like 13th. You wouldn't think that from this offense, but you look at the numbers and you look at the offenses in front of them, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of really good offenses out there. And when I was looking at this, I was like, Bengals got to be top 10. And I saw them at 13. You look at the offense in front of them, the Chiefs, the Bills, teams like that. It's like, yeah, I could see how we're here. So 13th, 7th, 23rd. Rushing, like I said, isn't their strongest point. Part of the reason because their offense line. Receiving is 7th, big part in terms of that three-headed monster and tight end CJ Uzomah. Alrighty, so yards per game, 361.5. Passing yards per game, 259. Rush yards per game, 102.5. Receiving yards per game is at 282.7, and points per game in the regular season is 27.1. So you look at the points per game, and you're like, you're almost putting up 30 points a game. Your passing yards are unbelievable. You're almost at 400 a game. Your receiving yards is almost at 300. This is a team that's almost putting up, right, 361 yards. I apologize. You're almost at 400 yards of offense every game. I mean, you're still 39 yards off, but 361.5, that's a lot. Some offenses are only 282. I mean, you look at the Niners offense, they were probably pretty low. They were probably in the 280s. This is a team that's averaging 361. You average 361, you're going to win a lot of games. And when you're almost putting up 30 points a game, that's a lot. And that's what the Bengals have done this season. So those are your regular season team numbers. You look at them and they're very good. Maybe the rank, I think this is one of these things where you look at the total and it's 13th. You're like, all right, are they really that good? But then you look at 361 yards per game. It's like there's a lot of other really good offense out there. And you look at the Bengals and they're one of them. Yes, they're 13th. But you look at the numbers and it's like, wow, pass yards 259. That's really solid. You go to, yards per game. That's all the way up in the 360s. You don't get that too often. So that's your regular season team rankings. Now, postseason. Now, I put a little bit of an asterisk against all four of the rankings, total, passing, rushing, receiving. Because this is based off of 3 games they've played. And all the other teams here that have played 1 game were also on the list. So it's tough to say. I didn't go off of just the teams remaining because I didn't want to go off of just the Rams and the Bengals, who has the better offense. But I did write down the rankings overall. It's tough to say, though, because some teams, like the Cowboys, only played 1 game. Right, so it's tough to say if they had 500 yards in 1 game, and that they're going to be averaging 500 yards. So it's tough to say. So that's why I put an asterisk. You can take these rankings in the postseason, passing, rushing, total, and receiving with a grain of salt because some teams, maybe like the Eagles, probably they had like 314 maybe or something, and they're stuck with that, or some teams like that. So that's why these rankings might be a little off, but this is the list they were in. So total, they're 8th in the postseason, passing they're 6th, rushing they're 9th, and receiving they're 6th. So I'm just going to throw those out there. Like I said, take it with a grain of salt if you want. Completely look at it. It's tough to say because some teams only played 1, and some teams have played 3 games. Some teams have played 2. Not like everyone, it's different with everyone playing 17. You could really take a look at those numbers. They're even. So those are your postseason. Total 8th, passing their 6th, rushing their 9th, receiving their 6th. And look, again, they're heavy passing, they're heavy receiving, rushing not so much. That's how their offense has been. Now let's go to the yards per game. 337.3. Pass yards per game, 249.3. Rush yards per game, yards per game, 337.3. Pass yards per game, 249.3. Rushing yards per game is 88. Receiving yards per game, 280.7, and points per game, 24. So you look at their numbers, and they are a little bit down in the postseason than what they were in the regular season. Regular season yards per game was 361. Here it's 337. Pass yards per game in the regular season was 259. Here it's 249. Rush yards was 102.5. Here it's 88. Receiving yards in the regular season was 282. Here it is 280. And points per game is a spot-on even 24.0. So slightly down from the regular season, but like I said, less games too. 3 games compared to 17 in regular season. I also played against better talent. You played against the Raiders, good defense. Titans, really good pass rush. Chiefs have a really good pass rush. Not a great defense, but a good pass rush. Chris Jones is up there, one of the better ones in the league. Now you go against a really good Rams team, so it'll be interesting to see how they fare. So those are your postseason rankings. Now let's go to regular season team leaders. So these are kind of a little corny because it's obvious the leaders, but I did put some extra numbers in here. So regular season team leaders, passing yards is Joe Burrow, 4,611 passing yards on the season, and an average of 295.6 per game. like I said, there was a couple games with Brandon Allen and stuff. I think there might have been one or two, so that's why pass yards per game is a little different for the regular season overall than what Burrow is. Rush yards per game, Joe Mixon, that's 1,205 on the season, so over 1,000-yard rusher, and per game he's averaging 75.3. Receiving yard leader is Jamar Chase, 1,455 yards combined, and 85.6 per game. Now, they have two 1,000-yard receivers, which is really solid. Not many teams you see that coming from. Jamar Chase at 1,445, and T. Higgins is the other 1,000-yard receiver that the Bengals have. He's at 1,091 on the season. And also, one thing about T. Higgins here, 1,091 total on the season, and he averages, let's see here, he averages per game 77.9. So 1,091 on the season and 77.9. All right, so those are your leaders there. Burrow passing leader, Mixon rushing yards leader, Jamar Chase receiving yards leader, and they have two 1,000 receivers, Chase and T. Higgins. Two guys that should be a staple there for a long time. Now, let's go to their postseason team leaders. Pass yards is Joe Burrow, 842 in the postseason total, 290 per game. Rush yards is Joe Mixon, that's 190 total this postseason, 63.3 per game. And receiving yards is Jamar Chase, 279 receiving yards total in the postseason. He's averaging 93 a game in the postseason. So almost a 100-yard receiver per game in the postseason. That's really solid. And they have two 200-yard receivers in the postseason. Jamar Chase is 279 total yards in the postseason. T. Higgins, 70 yards behind him at 209. So, postseason team leaders, passing Burrow, rushing Mixon, receiving Chase, no surprise there. And they have two 200-yard receivers, that's Chase at 279 and T. Higgins 209 have been the key guys, along with Uzama and Tyler Boyd, complementing those guys as well in the postseason. So that is your Cincinnati Bengals offensive preview. 13th, I'll just go through these quickly again. Regular season, 13th total. Passing 7th, rushing 23rd, receiving 7th. Postseason as a team, they're 8th total, passing their 6th, rushing their 9th, 6th, receiving their 6th. Like I said, it's tough to gauge those because they're lining them up against teams that played more or less games than them or the same. So it's tough to gauge. Regular season team leaders, pass yards is Joe Burrow, rush yards is Mixon, receiving yards is Chase. They had two 1,000-yard receivers. Chase had 1,455 yards, like I said, and T. Higgins had 1,091. And postseason team leaders, passing yards is Joe Burrow, rushing yards is Joe Mixon, and receiving yards is Jamar Chase. And two receivers this postseason. Chase has 279, and T. Higgins has 209 yards. So two postseason receivers over 209 yards 3 games in to the postseason, and we'll see what the Super Bowl brings. So that is your first day of rankings here on the BSN Hour program. Tomorrow I'll have Rams. Wednesday we'll do Bengals defense. Thursday we'll do Rams defense. And Friday will be my game pick. I'll give you the keys of the game. And Sunday will be Super Bowl 56 from SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Really looking forward to it. Alrighty, so that's what I got for the Bengals and their offensive ratings. And now let's get to the New York Sports Update here and finish off a quick video today. Like I said, felt like I got, what I wanted to get in, even though it was a short, 14, 15-minute video here. I mean, it's about the same because usually if I had my intro on 10 minutes and I talk up until about 25, 26, and I usually read the article for the final 3-4 minutes, and 30, so that's about 20 minutes, and 30 I try to get to over to 50 in a New York Sports Update final 10 minutes. It's not always goes smoothly, but I try to get into within those time zones. All right, so let's get to the New York Sports Update. What's going on in the world of basketball, college basketball, and NHL and fantasy basketball? A lot of basketball in those couple sentences there. Tonight we got the Heat and the Wizards. I'll give Heat the win. Raptors, Hornets, I'll give Raptors the win. Actually, give me the Hornets. Suns, Bulls, give me the Suns. Warriors, Thunder, I'll take the Warriors. Knicks, Jazz, give me the Jazz. 2 NHL games on tonight, fresh off the break. Devils, Senators, I'll take the Senators. Actually, I'll take the Devils. Give me the Devils. And Hurricanes, Maple Leafs, I'll take the Maple Leafs. Three AP top 25 college basketball games on tonight. Duke fresh off a beating of North Carolina in the Duke-North Carolina rivalry. Duke-Virginia tonight, I'll give Duke the win. Arizona State, I'll give Arizona the win. And Kansas-Texas on the road in Texas, going to be an interesting one. Give me Kansas close. Big win against Baylor over the weekend. Statement win coming off a tough loss against Kentucky. Give me Kansas on the road, knocking down Texas. And as for fantasy basketball, I won last week by a score of 1,286 to 952. And today I've got going Donovan Mitchell, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Kelly Oubre Jr., and Miles Bridges. Injury updates as followed. John Collins' day-to-day. His heel is probable for tomorrow's game. Alexander's still out with the ankle, and that's really what's going on. So starting to clean up a little bit. Garland's still out with the back, and we'll see however that plays out with him. So not many players going tonight as there's only 5 games on in the NBA. But, yeah, that's what I got for the Monday edition of the BSN Network podcast. Like I said, it's just the start of Super Bowl week. I felt like that was a really quick video. I felt like I barely looked up at the grammar because I've been looking at the notes and I feel like I've been talking so fast. But, yeah, so that'll do it for today's video. Tomorrow, depending on what happens tonight, I want to get to some RJ Barrett. Because I'm not going to talk about his success if he stinks tonight. But if he plays well tonight, I really want to talk about Barrett. We'll see what happens with the NBA trade deadline. Nick's interested in McCollum. What's going to happen with the Nets? If they do make a trade, is it going to involve Harden? Do they make a trade at all? There's so much drama. Trade deadline's Thursday, so there's a lot going on there. Tomorrow, I want to get to some basketball, either whether it's Barrett, Harden, or some trade that goes down, and then the Rams offensive rankings, and then so on and so forth the rest of the week as we begin Super Bowl 56 game week here in the world of the NFL. All right, so that will do it for the podcast here today. I know another short one, but that's the way it's been. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Comment down below if you enjoy the short ones. I know sometimes like I said, I know some people really like them. I don't really care. I mean, sometimes these ones are nice because I kind of just get to the point, get to it, talk about it, boom, it's over with. And I know sometimes you guys don't like sitting there for an hour and watching them. If you do watch them, sometimes you might only you might enjoy watching the 15 to 20 minute ones better than sitting there for an hour and listening or watching or whatever you do. So, but hey, anything to get it out there. Even if it's a quick 15, 20 minute one or just a 27 minute one like today, I'm going to try my best to get the content out there for you guys. So that'll do it for the podcast here today. As always, I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.